Hello everyone, Simon Jacobson here, another episode of Meaningful Live. The Soul of the Bowl. This program is dedicated in honor of Alexandra Lazarovich. Today's Super Sunday, the big day, the most watched sports game in USA. It's not as big as the World Cup, but still quite big. Over 120 million people predicted to watch the game this year between Seattle and New England, Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots. And though I am not a sports commentator, nor sports talk show, yet everything that happens in this world is, as the great mystic and great spiritual mentor, the Baal Shem Tov, says, everything is a lesson in life. So I was thinking about that. Now, we always look for the soul in everything. There's the soul in everything. What is the soul of the bowl, as in the Super Bowl? So, on a very basic little history lesson, it was once called the championship between NFC, the AFC, and it was, I think, a child of one of maybe the football commissioner at the time in the 60s, when the Super Bowl just began in 1966, 67, those years, that came up with a name. There was the Rose Bowl, there was the different Fiesta Bowls, and so on, on New Year's Day, and came up with the name Super Bowl. And again, everything being a lesson in life, giving it some thought, what kind of lessons do we learn from this? You know, the game, I fully understand the energy, the build-up. People love competition. They love excellence. There's many ways to describe it. You can describe it as something frivolous fun. Some people see more to it. No, but it does capture people's imagination. There's the idea of having two teams that compete with one another, see who's best. And you can see some poetry in it as well, even though football, not quite like tennis. So I wouldn't call it quite a dance like that. It has a little more violence to it, but it has that combination that Americans like: some violence, some talent, some strategy. Someone once compared it to a chessboard, but in this case, all the players are moving. So on a chessboard, the players don't move. It's just you have to move them, but here they also move. So it has also that action element. Someone else pointed out that out of the 60 minutes, 4 quarters of a game, only around 9 minutes of actual action. The rest is in between the action and so on. So television, of course, has brought a whole other dimension to it, with the focus on the replays and the zooming in and the analysis. When you're in a stadium, it's more the energy. You can't even see the nuances of many plays. But bottom line is, like I said, it consumes people's imagination. So, in talking about the soul of the bowl, what comes to mind is, I remember, I'm going back now to 1980, a long time ago. That would be beginning of my career, actually. 1980 is, 45 years ago? Yeah, something like that. We're in 2026, 1980, 46 years ago. So I remember it was on a talk that my great mentor, my great teacher, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Rebbe, and he was talking about children, actually, and that when you teach children, you always want to give examples and explain to them things in their terms. And one of the things children do is they play ball, all kinds of ball, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, whether it's stickball, whether it's soccer. Soccer, of course, is actually what is called football in Europe and the rest of the world. We call soccer, because football has become American football. There's the Australian version of rugby, and he gave a beautiful lesson that you can teach everyone, from child to adult, which I think really applies well in understanding generally sports and the competition of two teams. And just give you a summary of it that applies so well. Every football game, including the Super Bowl, consists of two teams. Two teams have to be equally matched, meaning same amount of people on the field, exactly the same amount. They're all trying to control the ball is the key. And what's the point of moving the ball along? Till you get it into the opponent's end zone. That's called a touchdown. Or through a field goal. And all the different rules involved. So you have two equal teams opposing each other, all trying to get the ball into the other's end zone, and whoever can do that to the max, meaning whoever gets the most points, wins the game. So the lesson is as follows, that each of us has two voices, two teams within our souls and within our psyches. And they're opposed to each other. One is called the divine soul, one is called the animal soul. One is driven by transcendent interests, to serve, to love, something greater than our own self-interest. The other is driven by self-interest. And these are two voices that battle with each other. Every moment of the day, we have to make decisions. Am I going to take care of myself, or am I going to help someone else? Am I going to be focused on instant gratification and short-term pleasure? Or am I going to look at the bigger picture, what's good for the greater good, what's good for the bigger picture? And this is a battle that we're always fighting. And both sides have an equal amount of strength. They have the same amount of resources, the same amount of faculties. And choices have to be made. And what is it all about around the ball? The ball represents the earth. It represents existence itself. And each one's goal is to take control of the ball. Ball control is the key. To move it along and try to get it into the end zone. Which means that at the end of the day, it's all about winning. Who's going to win this battle? And in many ways, it reflects our very lives. Now, in this case, we're not saying which team is the animal soul, which is the divine soul. Look at them as two forces. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for. You know, they're both fine people, and they're both fine teams and fine players, and so on. But it gives you another way of looking at it, that when you see the game plays itself out, you can ask yourself a question, something that will last long after the victory and long after the Lombardi Trophy and long after we remember the Super Bowl. Something that you can take back to yourself, to your family, and actually even while watching the game, you can discuss, what is its lesson to us? We have the same idea. And the strategies being employed is the same idea of what strategies do we employ. Yeah, an interception, for example, is the other side, is turning things around by capturing a given example. Let's say a person is very aggressive, and they have a lot of aggressive energy. Aggressive energy, we know, can be misused and can be abused. It can hurt other people. You can step on others in your determination. But imagine you're able to channel and able to harness and transform, take control of that aggression and use it against the negative, and use it to be persistent about something that's good. Aggression can have its qualities. So the idea of turning over the ball, of a turnover, what they call, is also the concept of using the energy from your opponent's strengths and using it for something positive. And the same is with all the different strategies, whether it's in defense or in offense, which we'll talk about in a moment. Each of them have their specific strategies. Each one can be employed. What's the difference between a run? Let's say we're talking now on the offense. So the offense is when you take initiative, you're proactive, and you want to do something positive, move the ball, which is the world, which a world means both the universe at large as well as the universe in microcosm. Each of us is like a ball in microcosm. We're an individual. And you want to move it forward. You want to move it. You want to keep moving it. So you can do it through two ways. You can either run or you can throw. Running is more step by step. It's more of a organized process where you're not grabbing more than you can chew. You're going step by step, forward progress. Sometimes there may be a little setback, but you're constantly moving forward. As long as you keep moving forward and getting the next first down, you are successful. That means in life, to look at your life as being step by step. You don't have to capture more than, you don't have to go for a home run, using another game's analogy. That you do it step by step. You know, like in life, things sometimes are small steps. But if they're going small steps toward growth, That's how you get places, as long as you're consistent. Another approach is the throw, is the pass. A pass means you're not going step by step. You're trying to capture more ground faster and in a larger block, so to speak. So you can get a pass that goes for 10 yards, it can go for 20 yards, it can go for less than that. So in life, sometimes you need to take a type of paradigm leap, a type of quantum leap, for a paradigm shift. So there are times you go step by step, but there are times you do need to take a risk. And the risk is that, and the gain that you get from it is a much greater gain than you would have gotten had you not taken that risk. And again, the goal is always moving it forward to achieve your goals. In this case, your goals would be is transforming the ball, transforming your life, transforming the world around you toward becoming a more refined and better place, a place of more giving and less taking and so on. Then there's defense. Defense is when you feel sometimes that other part of you, that animal soul part, the selfish voice is very loud, it's seducing you, it's tempting you. So then you need strong defense. You know how to have the discipline, restraint. You have to know how to stop the drive and stop the drives coming from the other side. And both are necessary. At times we need more restraint and more so-called defense, and sometimes offense. Obviously the best defense is offense, but you still need both in life. And this is both teams, again, are both employing the same type of devices. And then there are the different strategies in each one of them. As I said, there are different ways of maneuvering, and that too in our personal lives. Every strategy played, that you'll see being played during this Super Bowl, can be translated into a strategy in our own lives. For example, you're running and you get your those that are protecting you to create a lane. So that too, at times, that's what you need to do. You have to so-called sidetrack and somewhat marginalize those forces that don't let you move forward, and make a lane, create a lane, a path to getting done what you want to do. Let's say, for example, you made a decision that once a week, in the morning, every Tuesday morning, you're going to go visit special children that need particular help, and you're going to volunteer. But you have plenty of voices that are dissuading you from doing it. You're tired, you're busy, there are other things to do, there's money to be made, and so on. So you have to find a way to neutralize those so you can do your job by creating the lane, the path to move the ball forward in the areas of the commitments that you've made. So it's all about this type of persistence, this type of drive. And yes, even the players, whether it's linebackers, whether it's wide receivers, and so on, each of them has their own role in our lives as well. We have those that are good at running, those that are good at catching, those that are good at protecting, those that are good at defending. And then there's the quarterback. The quarterback is like, think of it as the mind. It's the brain. It's like the brain behind it all. Well, you could say that's the coach and the coaching staff, but the one that's implementing it is the one that is looking at the whole picture and figuring out how to move all the players in the right way. So yes, he's implementing a strategy that has been planned by the coaches around him, but at the end of the day, on the field, in action, there's one quarterback like conductor that essentially coordinates all the different pieces. So if all the different pieces are like different instruments, if you wish, all to achieve the goals that are necessary, primarily, of course, in the context of offense. So the quarterback serves as that role, the arbiter, if you wish, the coordinator, the engineer, that makes sure all the pieces are in place and make sure that they all work with each other. And when it's done brilliantly, you really have a true, powerful strategy. And of course, if you think about the Seahawks and the Patriots, both names have plenty of lessons. Seahawks they fly, and there's that element of soaring. Patriots, you could say, are more like infantry on the ground, the soldiers on the ground. And both are necessary. And without choosing sides, that I'll let people make their own choices. I look at it like, let the best man win, but let them play a good game, let them be able to challenge each other, and done in the good spirit and goodwill, we'll have a great game. But above all, the most important game is the game of life. That's where the real consequences are. Because at the end of the day, even if you're betting on it, you may make some money or lose some money, but the real game is the game of life. The game of where your ball is going to end up. and how you're going to live your life. And knowing fully well that, yes, you're going to have an opposing side that is equally strong as you are, but it's ultimately who's going to outmaneuver whom. And we do have that struggle, we do have that battle. It's very much a part of our life, of our lives. And the good news is that in the battle of life, it doesn't require violence, there's no concern of concussions, there's no concern of injuries and so on. The concern is a much bigger one of who's going to dominate. Will it be your voice of transcendence? Will it be the voice of light? Or will it be the voice of selfishness and self-preservation? So my friends, I hope this soul of the bowl helps infuse the entire Super Bowl with another dimension, this a super soul bowl, so to speak, where we get to look at life, even things that may be superficial and things that are in passing or temporary, as deeper lessons, enduring lessons for each one of us. God bless you all in your battles, and may you make sure that your divine soul always wins. Be well, everyone. This has been Simon Jacobson. MeaningfulLife.com is our website. If this message was meaningful to you, please share it. It's a few hours till the Super Bowl, so you can still share it beforehand. And may it be an enduring lesson. And of course, please subscribe to our offerings, to our YouTube channel. And I'd love to hear thoughts, comments, feedback. And of course, also use our new SimonJacobson.ai, where you can access and you can really chat about any topic you want. It really accesses and excavates and draws from all our resources and our inventory. Be blessed and be well.